Welcome to CSL Charlotte. This is the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. And actually, we deal with the mind, body, and spirit. So, what we're going to talk about today is going to be quite interesting. You're going to know how to articulate, know, and live the truth. Next on our platform is the introduction of the transformative spirit. So, Groovy, the transformative one, make it do what it do.
Thank you so much, Reverend Rosedale. I have the honor of sharing Truth is to be Spoken by Reverend Rosedale Jones. There have always been people who spoke truth out loud. They didn't do it to sound wise. They did it because something real was moving in them. Carl Jung, Emmett Fox, Thomas Troward, and Miyamoto Musashi lived in different times, but they were all pointing to the same thing: truth. Truth is not an idea. Truth is a practice. Carl Jung showed us psyche. The psyche knows the truth. So the inner world is alive and shaping us, whether we are aware of it or not. Emmett Fox reminded us that our thinking is part of every moment that we're in. Thomas Troward revealed that life is lawful, not random, and conscious is always creating. Miyamoto Musashi didn't just speak truth, he trained himself to live it in the body, under pressure, in the body where it actually matters. So we'll call him the embodiment articulator. Each of these articulators of truth spoke truth in their own way, but the message underneath is one message. Truth only becomes power when we live it, speak it, and practice it. So today, we don't just admire truth, we practice it. We practice noticing what's moving in us. We practice thinking consciously in the moment. We practice remembering that life responds to consciousness. And before it's all over, we practice holding truth in our bodies to embody it. Because truth only becomes real when we embody it and practice it. In our practice, we begin to build the confidence and the courage to speak the truth that is moving within us. Because that truth is not coming from outside of us, that's our psyche. That's power within us moving and wanting to be expressed. As the author of this reading, I've learned when I don't express truth, it doesn't go away. It just waits. The following is a quote from our Reverend Rosedale Jones. Truth doesn't change us when we think it. Truth changes us when we practice it in the body, in the moment, and when we speak it. And so it is.
New hopes, new dreams, new everything. I love that. So we're going to start with a short centering. Just think about relaxing your eyes by looking into your lap, maybe closing them, but whatever you choose, let no distractions come around your eyes whatsoever. And now breathe, because breath is everything. And once you exhale, you totally relax and hear what you need or what it is here for you to hear. Yeah, like she said, life is really a journey. But you know what? Now, why not lay down your regrets? You can stop replaying what you think were mistakes or whatever worked wrong or whatever went right, because honestly, nothing was ever a mistake. There just are none. They don't exist. Just chances that were taken. That's all. We took chances, but it was not a mistake. One way or another, we got a lesson. And every lesson brought you to this now moment. And this now moment is where your power is. Your power is not in the past, because if you're thinking about the past right now, you're depressed. That's not power. But if it's in the future that you're thinking about, you're worried. None of that's power either. All we have is right now. And the truth is, part of you already knows the truth. That's your power. That's your psyche. So just take a deep breath. Just notice right now, in this very moment, there's nothing missing in your life right now. But if you go into the past or the future, you'll find it. I want you to remember, nothing is missing in your life in this now moment. So wiggle your fingers and your toes and integrate your mind, your body, and your spirit. Now, are you ready to train your mind, body, and spirit to articulate, meaning speak, to know, meaning to be confident, and to live the truth? Because that's where we're headed right now. See, there have always been people who articulated the truth, because if they didn't, I wouldn't have anything to research to come back and bring you. And many people that have taught me would not have the research to have come back and taught me. So therefore, many people on the planet, so I'm picking just a couple of people, but it wasn't because they are the only ones who knew truths. It was really because they're the only ones who spoke it or who articulated it. Why people don't tell these things, no, I have no idea. But when the truth is articulated, it becomes available to whoever wants to learn it. That's why we're here. We've gone through many, many classes, have to learn truth, to understand. We've changed, all of us. We have changed our lives from the time we started in 2005 alone to 2020 alone. Can you just imagine the rest of us who were down there in 2011 and 12 and all those other places that came here? We have definitely evolved. Why? Because we articulated on some occasion, because we were in a bunch of classes, even together, we shared, right? We also knew and know, but we also live it. But here's the thing, when truth is learned, it's personal. But when it is lived, it becomes your power. When you live it, it becomes your power. So things don't really get to you the way they used to. So today, we're not just here to learn, to hear, to understand truth. We're here to notice it in us. See, many people, like I said, actually talked about it. Now, Ruby got tricked up on Miyamoto Musashi. I love Asian people so much because their philosophy is the one that's grown me out of all these 20 to 30 years I've been in this. But he is the type of person, he was a Japanese samurai warrior, if you will. If you know anything about that, their discipline is like martial art and all of that great stuff. But he was back in the 1600s. So can you imagine how long this has been going on? And it was centuries. Okay, let me tell you. This stuff started with other people from the first century. But Miyamoto Musashi, he's a man who understood something that most people miss. Understanding truth is not enough. Oh yeah, I understand that I'm all good. I understand that there's something in me that is true, but I understand it. But when I articulate it to teach it to somebody else, it becomes power for me. And then that other person does the same. So each one teach one. You must be able to hold the truth, just like he said in his samurai swordsmanship. He might have been, I'm not talking about swords particularly, but he might have been that guy who was very strong and powerful in his way, in his walk, and he had a constitution. He said, you must be able to hold the truth under pressure. See, he practiced training his body to stay connected by consistently sitting with himself. and he was noticing the body. He still teaches that. I teach what they taught, and it's survival. Not only is it survival, what it worked for them, it works for me, and it works for everybody that I'm teaching. But here's the thing: if certain thoughts pop up and your heart rate jumps, that's pressure, right? These are the things he's talking about when he talks about it. Sometimes your chest may tighten, that's pressure. Sometimes your stomach may drop, but and then these thoughts start racing, and you say, "Oh, my mind! I got this. What do they call it? The squirrel mind. There's things that just going all around." But don't blame the mind, especially when we know that's my nervous system. That's just your nervous system. This is science. This is not something we're making up. It's when it's practiced, you change a whole lot of things in your life and around you. You have to breathe to release that tightness in your body. You have to breathe to lower that heart rate. You have to breathe because all of this is required to release that pressure from your body so you can live like you want. But this requires self-study. See, I feel a new class coming on, Alan, with all this. So when I speak about Musashi, I'm talking about a person who decided that he would articulate, know, and live truth back in 1600s. So all of those books and all of his practices followed to different people till it came to me one day, all right? Or it's coming to you now. And there's something else I've been sitting with. I don't even have all the language for it yet, but I can feel it. Maybe I don't have the language that you can get, but you'll get it if you keep listening. Because what's happening in the mind and what's happening in the body, people seem to think that they're separate. Yeah, one and the same. It's like before I even articulate something, my body already knows it. How did I just tell you that? Maybe sometimes your chest is tightening up. That's body signals. Maybe sometimes you feel nauseous. That's a body signal. All of these things. Maybe you feel nervous. Sometimes your pulse rate is out of control. But see, here's the thing. Carl Jung used the word for the things that's going on inside of us, all of the thoughts and everything like that. He used the word psychoid. I'm not going to try to define that, but at times it means psyche to a degree. But actually, I'm just noticing it when I sit with myself. Another person who I just admire, who decided that he would articulate, know, and live truth is Emmett Fox. Now, Emmett Fox articulated truth because he said, pay attention to how you're thinking in the moment. Because if you're having issues where you're feeling dizzy or you got vertigo or you got anything going on, chances are that mind is carrying a lot of load, putting that into the body. Because the way you think shapes your experience. Thomas Troward, he articulated life is not random. You heard that when Reverend Ruby read. Life is not random. It responds to our consciousness that we're holding in our bodies. Oh, yeah, I know people don't realize it, but we got to make that connection to that mind, to that body, so that we can heal our bodies and then we can calm down or we can grow. That's another truth. Miyamoto Musashi, he articulated that you don't just understand truth because it's not enough just to understand it. You can understand everything I'm saying right now, but if there's no practice done in your life, everything they articulated would not come to you. It'll be a brick wall. Bang! I hear you, but I'm not there. You can get there. Because everything these people before me and you and all of us, first century, before they even articulated anything, they did the same thing. They have to sit, They had to think, they also gave it to other people. And the more people you give it to, the more times you're going to hear it. The more times you're going to hear it, it's easier for you to heal. Get that? So that's why that beautiful articulation becomes real, but it only becomes real when you stop to commit to consistent practice. Because after you practice it enough, that's how you live it. So Musashi reminds us that the truth is not a concept. It's not just a concept. It's not just a thing. It's not just an idea. Truth is a skill, and skill is built through practice. Repetition is the mother of skill. So the reason he's such a big deal to me is because I train myself to articulate, to know, and to live truth. And the more I learn something I give to somebody else, it's reminding me over and over and over. I say, why don't you learn so you can articulate and know and live in truth? Because articulation or articulating is actually speaking. So the truth is when you speak it, other people hear it, and when other people hear it, they are free too. See, these guys, they were not just guys who just were just thinking about stuff. They actually said it, but that's what they did for us by saying it, by articulating it, by putting it in books, by giving us tapes, by putting things. Even today, there's people right now on YouTube. You can go there, and a lot of truth is out there. But a lot of truth is ignored because people are in another whole different line of thinking, and so you can't get what they're saying. But these guys that are articulating truth just open themselves up and then they articulate it. That means that when thoughts hit you and your mind starts going and you feel like you want to react, you don't just react, you just stay with yourself, according to Musashi. He says, stay with yourself, stay with your body, breathe. That's another thing. Martial arts, they'll tell you in a minute. Yoga, they'll tell you in a minute. Breathe. You feel it without letting it take over you. No breath, you got that shallow breath. Boom, boom, boom. You got that heart racing because you're breathing shallow. Let it go by the breath. That's the first step. Musashi articulated again and again and again, knowing the truth is not enough. You have to sit with yourself when your body reacts. He practiced that. Now I practice it because he articulated it. See, those guys, they were not only in names, they were actually in character and spirit and everywhere. They left it here for us. And when the truth is articulated, it becomes available to all of us. And it becomes personal to us once we decide we want to learn it, to understand it. So that's not just us hearing truth. It's about us noticing it in us. Really, when you're breathing and you think about it and you're sitting with yourself, just say to yourself, how's my breath? And just feel it. And here's another way that I've found so profound with Musashi. He articulated this practice and he calls it the stance. And you can do this standing or sitting. You can sit, everything is mind and body. You've got to connect the two. 3 plus the spirit. But when you sit or stand with your spine tall, and maybe your shoulder blades back somewhat, and your feet are really grounded, just relax your hands, relax everything else. Just stand with posture. And then you sit until you feel your stance in your body. Not just see it, because you can just sit down, but you can sit down and not even have the stance, but you can feel it internally. And you'll start to realize that, wait a minute, there's nothing to fix. In fact, if it's not to do with you 100%, there's nothing you can fix. You'll accept that. And nothing to fight. When you realize there's no reason to fight what's going on in someone else, it could be a loved one. All you got when you do that stance that Musashi was talking about is presence and good posture. But here's what I learned long ago. My strength is not and has never been in controlling my experience. Did you hear me? My experience could be off the chain, but I cannot stop and try to control it because it just takes me away from my peace, which then takes me away from solutions. And that's not going to work because then how can I articulate, know, or live truth if I'm all confused over there in that thing trying to control it? Many people before us loved the idea of talking and teaching this because they became so famous and they had such long, fabulous lives. So we now can articulate, know, and live truth because of all of them. And I love it because I get to live it. I get to live it. What about you? So I took their philosophies, many of them, not just the 40s guys, I took them and I turned them into mind, body, spirit based practices so you can actually use them on your own. What we're doing and talking about right now, this is the embodiment of awareness, the embodiment of actual consciousness. That word embodiment is not a loose word. When you get it in the body, you heal. When you keep it in the mind and you don't allow it to heal the body, you're playing into a lot of confusion inside of you. The embodiment of law is another thing. The law of attraction, all these different laws, the law of gravity. Let me tell you something about that law of gravity too. Every one of these laws, you got to know and you got to not break these laws. I'm talking about the law of gravity for a moment. If you get up on that roof and you lean over it and take your feet out there, you're going down. That's the law of gravity. You cannot defy that law. Just like the law of consciousness, what you think about grows. What you focus on grows, but also what you don't do grows because that shows you part of what's going on. You're still articulating and you're still knowing and you're still living that truth. Let your body hold what your mind understands. And once you do that, you're embodying that consciousness. Remember, everything they taught becomes real only when we practice. So we can say, you know, the law of attraction says, if you say it, you bought it, or whatever it says, and you said, oh yeah, that's the truth. But if you don't practice it, then you're just saying stuff. Make it something you feel once you get it in your mind. And once you think it in your mind, make it something you feel in your body because your body is the signals that's going to lead you. So me, I'm aware of my thoughts and I'm aware that they run 24/7 and they run on some days that I don't want to hear that one. But I learned to stop worrying about that because I learned how to control my own blood pressure over time. Everybody runs to get drugs and do this because you got to take that time. Is it worth it? That's the only thing I could say. Somebody said, well, how long do you think it's going to take me to lose this weight, Rosedale? Or how long do you think it's going to take me to feel better? And how long do you think it's going to be before I heal my foot? But let me just tell you this. It's going to take as long as you take to get started. So yes, just like everybody else, my mind goes 24/7. And some days I think of something that really bothers me. I could be driving down the street. It's fine everywhere else, but then I'll hear something like something bad's gonna happen. I'll hear that. And I'm sure you do, but you wouldn't admit that because you think, oh, how did she say that? She's supposed to be spiritual. Oh, I can't stand that. When people say that's ridiculous. That is so, not only is it immature, but it's ridiculous. If you don't do the work, you're not anything, right? So if I hear that thought, like I said, something bad's going to happen, there was a time I would panic and all of a sudden I knew. And then I started going, wait a minute, about 10 years ago, I see the correlation between my blood pressure and what's going on in my life and the situations I'm having. Sitting with myself more and more and more until it became a habit works. My body is in better shape than it was ever been. The older I get, the healthier I get. I just don't panic anymore about those thoughts. Thoughts run around all day long, here and there. They're going to be here in somebody else's mind, somebody else's mind. But let me just tell you this. If you didn't have them, you'd be dead. Because I have come to understand that when I hear a thought that's scary, I say to myself, that's a future thought. That's not a now thought. And remember, I told you, you have to be in this now moment to be at peace. So if you're living in the future, you're worried, remember? And if you're living in the past, you're depressed because you can't do anything with that. You can't go back there and touch somebody. You can't go back there and hug somebody to forgive each other. Some of them are dead. Seriously. And I might be laughing, but I've done that a lot of times. When I'm sitting there driving in the car and I'm thinking about something my mother and I had an argument about, and I'm going at it. I used to do that, but it stopped. It stopped a while ago. But I used to be driving and saying this and that. And then I would say, why are you arguing with her? She's dead. And then I would be cracking up because she would laugh at me because she knows what I said was silly. She would be so silly. Thoughts just drop in us. I don't own mine. I don't say that's my thought. I call them thoughts because that's what they are. I don't own them. Stop owning your thoughts. When I'm aware of them, I pause. And a lot of times I say something real playful. I say something like, that's interesting. Where did that thought come from? Because it's not mine. But if it's a good one, I own it. See, another time I could say to myself, I could be cooking in the kitchen, and I could say to myself something, and a thought would drop on me, like, it's a keeper, for example, something that's a keeper. Like, I like that. You know what I'm going to do right there? I'm going to stop stirring that pot, right? I'm going to run over there and I'm going to write it down. Because most of the time, that thought that I liked is something to add to something that I need in my experience. Oh, now, just this week, every day I can give you a story about something that happened that I needed in my experience. But because I'm where I am in life, life changes. Could have been stressed out yesterday over getting a certification because I realized, oh no, my certification is about to expire. What do I have to do? And then I saw, oh, you got to take this quick class, a 5-hour class, whatever it was, and I did it right online. But the thing is, at first, there was interpretation, and I was going to myself, wait, am I going to be able to have this done by the 18th, which was yesterday? I was going, am I going to be able to have this thing? Because the thing was expiring. And I didn't even know the thing was expiring. I was cracking up. But I sat in there and I put on that video after video after video, studied it, learned it, got it, took the test. Bam! By 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I was recertified. But you got to stay on top of like I was telling Connie this morning, we all have our thing. But my thing is anatomy, is body. So because you give me a new test, that doesn't mean I don't know that already. I just got to take this particular course. But you already be teaching me over and over. So I started to calm down. Instead of freaking out going, I got to finish this. I got to finish this. You know what I mean? Most of the time when I get a thought, it's something that I need in my next experience. And sure enough, it said, call so-and-so and ask her, where did she go in the last minute? And sure enough, she texted me back and told me. I went there, paid for it, got the class and did it. These solutions that come to us, they don't just happen. They happen justly. You have to sit down a lot with yourself, not expecting the answer to come that day. But because I do it so much, anything I need is coming right back at me, easy. Part of me was thinking, oh, you're going to be doing this all weekend. Honey, I did that thing, and from 9 o'clock yesterday morning, and it was done by 4 in the afternoon with a class that they gave you 6 hours to study. Because I've learned when the psyche speaks, I do not. If I decide I don't want to honor it, I don't ignore it. Because if I don't write it down and I ignore that, it becomes elusive. So if I write it down and I didn't have a chance to do it because I'm cooking, so you have to work on a practice with your own life so you can get this stuff into you. And I decided that, okay, I'll go write it down. Now I can go back up and now I don't have to worry about it no more. Whatever I have to deal with, next thing you know, that's what it was. It needed to me to call someone, to call that person. She was able to help me. Now, let me ask you this. Are you going to learn some of this stuff for yourself so that you can train and empower yourself? Don't let this work intimidate you. People think this is a microwave society. They can just pop it out, do one or two things, and boom, I'm changed. That's not the way it works. But when I get a thought that doesn't match what actually happening in my life or what I need to know right now, I just let it move on. Because for me, that's the difference between my psyche and my ego. And you know that the ego will offer you anything or any thought. It doesn't matter if it belongs in your psyche, in your world right now, in this now moment or not. It doesn't matter. If you accept it, you will experience it as truth for you, because you know when you know you expect you know when you know you experience it, when you panic about a thought that's not really happening. Again, I'm going to say it again. When you are focused on the past, you're depressed. When you are focused on the future, you are worried. That's why you got to get in this now moment. That's how you sit in this now moment. Don't bring your problems in there because you don't need them there. I don't have to believe every single thought I hear. I get to decide. I get to decide whether or not I'm going to let that thought take me down the rabbit hole. Does it make sense? Is my first question to me. Does that make sense? Because sometimes I have to laugh at it because the minute I do, it's elusive. Just like your good can be elusive, so can that. This too shall pass. So today, we looked at all of those people who were willing in our past to articulate, know, and live truth. And guess what they ended up doing? Getting to people like me, like you, and many other people that's out here teaching this work. And we've seen how it looks when you embody it. I was not stressed yesterday. 10, 20 years ago, before me being this person I am today, I probably would have been stressing, and I probably would have missed a whole lot of questions on that thing because I was so busy stressing. I probably got 100 out of 100 questions. But now it comes down to something very real and very personal. Now, let me ask you this, answer these questions. Listen, am I willing to articulate the truth? Oh, I don't know what she's talking about, but just are you willing? Okay. What about this one? Am I afraid to articulate the truth? And here's the last one. What about the truth am I afraid to articulate? I probably don't have time to tell you why I asked those questions, but you toy with it. You have to be brave, because every time we choose to speak truth with love, clarity, and presence, we don't just free ourselves. We free the other people, and we give them permission to do it the way they want to do it. And they can articulate, know, and live truth. Not mine, yours, or anybody else's, theirs. So I want to leave you with something that captures the spirit of this talk just beautifully. It's a reminder that your voice matters and your truth matters. And when you get a thought that feels real, that's dropped on you, and that thought actually lines up to something you're doing right now, pay attention to it. I don't care if you write it, whatever you do, but pay attention. Because that's truth. And if truth is within you and you want to express it, then you must express it. But here's the thing, you need to be brave and you need to speak. So that means you have to articulate, know, and live truth. So when we give today, make sure you understand what you're doing because you're making an investment and you're making an investment to consciousness. And you're not just making a donation, you're investing in the truth, and that has the world. That means the world to everything because that power can change your entire world. See, you're investing in how to articulate, to know and live the truth. But here's the thing, I articulate, know, and live the truth, but I'm not coming from a textbook on you, I'm coming from a lived life. So your investments do strengthen what we talked about, articulate, know, and live the truth. But as we continue to hold the space for other people, that gives us more time to continue to stay on the air and continue broadcasting. So as you soften and let your money circulate, you begin to feel the same flow in your life. Plain and simple. So as you align your giving with this flow, your position, yourself, you begin to change and you heal and you prosper right along with it. It's the truth. So ask yourself this question. Am I willing to support a place where people don't just learn how to articulate, know, and live truth? They actually transform and change by it. Think about it. So thank you for articulate, thank you for strengthening articulate, know, and grow and live truth through your giving. With that, that's what I'll tell you again. Thanks. So remember, as we wrap up our time together, remember this: articulate, know, and live truth. Start to articulate, know, and live truth to everywhere you go. Because I know people keep their mouth shut. They don't want to say, well, I go to Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte because that's where I get my energy from. Well, maybe you don't get your energy from there, but I tell everybody, and what I like about it so much is that the two ladies that came on this morning, they know they had a church service they wanted to go to, but they also said, I'll have what she's having. You know what I mean? So what? Maybe they'll visit every now and then. That's fantastic. All I know is when I articulate and I know and I live truth, people hear that. So accept the change and be willing to sit with yourself so that you can articulate, know, and live truth. Because you have to remember this when you're talking. You may not be talking to everybody that's the right person, but you know what? The universe is always supporting you with whoever you talk to, it doesn't matter. So until we meet again, remember to articulate, know, and live truth and watch who and what you are becoming. And so it is.